It's a busy year of job cuts. We have Andy Challenger Gray, and Christmas on the job with us. Andy, bring us up to date on the job cuts tracked by your company.
In the most recent Challenger job cuts report, we tracked over 90,000 layoff announcements from companies over the course of those 30 days. That is a high number. It's up 7% from what we saw last month and is the highest we've seen since January of 2023, when we hit a real peak at the beginning of the tech layoffs that we've seen for 2 years. The cuts are still primarily coming from the tech industry, government job cuts, and we are seeing some energy and manufacturing cuts as well. Throughout the quarter, we've seen an elevated number in a way that really picked up from the end of last year. It's been a bit of a surprise. We saw cooling in the economy headed in a really consistent direction, but this spike could be something that's a little bit more alarming, that is potentially the precursor to a harder downturn than had been predicted.
In the past, you have talked about job cuts are coming in strong because some industries, especially tech, are trying to right size after the COVID crisis. Is that still happening, or is there something more going on here?
Yeah, the job cuts we've tracked through the last 2 years have primarily been due to a huge hiring surge that happened during COVID in particular industries. There was a labor shortage. Companies were hiring at a really, really rapid pace. And it seems clear now, with a little bit of hindsight, that they overhired, and companies are trying to bring their workforces back down to the appropriate size for a post-COVID world. This last 3 months, this spike is a little bit unexpected. This could be pointing to something that is more troubling in the job market, that we will see further cuts if this doesn't fall off pretty soon. These cuts are fairly dramatic for this far out from the overhiring that happened during COVID. And so we're hoping to see this really slow down soon.
For people receiving layoff notices and getting back into the hunt, is it still easier to find a job when you have a job?
It is true that it's easier to find a job when you're currently employed. You have a better leverage position. You can always fall back on your current salary if a position doesn't work out, so you can push harder in your negotiations. And you are more attractive to employers when you currently have a job. That being said, if you have been laid off, if you are currently out of work, it's still not a bad time to be searching. We are seeing lots of people hunkering down and not moving roles as quickly as they were during those COVID years when the market got really frothy. So you're not always going to be competing against people with current jobs. And there are a lot of openings. We saw 300,000 jobs added to the economy last month. It was a pretty spectacular number. Unemployment rate stays low, at these historically low levels. So all in all, it's not a terrible time to be looking for a new job.
What would be some common red flags that hiring managers are quick to notice?
The world has changed in the last few years, and hiring managers are going to be catching a few items as real red flags when they see a resume. If it's clearly AI generated, it's not going to look different enough from other resumes. The language of AI tools today is pretty much a giveaway. So you can use AI to edit and work on your resume, but you have to make sure it's put in your own language and not perfectly generated from the artificial intelligence itself. Employers are always going to be looking for job hopping. If you've moved a lot in the last few years from job to job, that is seen as a red flag to employers, that you're not sticking in one place. And there's just another element of a great resume, that it has to be well formatted. If it looks untidy, the formatting's off, there's different fonts throughout the resume, that's going to be a sign to an employer that you're not as detail oriented as they would like you to be.
Andy, we always appreciate having you on our show.
Thanks for having me on, Angie.
Go to businessfirstam.com for where to see our show on TV.